On this edition of our program, we talk about the WBC confirming that the winner of the Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder 3 fight must defend against the battle between WBC champion Dylan the Body Snatcher Whyte and Otto Wallin. Now, with this victory by Tyson Fury, Ryan, it seems that there will be a lot more interest as to who he will be fighting next. A lot of people have been saying that it should be already Alexander Usyk's turn to go against Tyson Fury, but that will not happen yet, right? So this is what's going to happen, right?
Yes. So we have to see what happens with these two fighters. It'll be very interesting because Dylan Whyte is the interim champion. He's never gotten his shot at a full world championship. So I really want to see how that goes. And also, Dylan Whyte is a well-known fighter in the UK. Tyson Fury, of course, is also from the UK. You could do that fight, at the O2, but you probably could put that at an open air stadium like Wembley and really get a lot of fans out there. And I think it's been a long time since there's been like a great British versus British heavyweight title fight. I'm thinking like maybe Lennox Lewis against Frank Bruno. So this has the potential to be like that. Dylan Whyte is a dangerous fighter. He's strong. He gave Anthony Joshua a lot of trouble in their fight. That was kind of his coming out party and was the first real stern test for Anthony Joshua. So yeah, that could be the fight. Or we could see Otto Wallin, who gave Tyson Fury an excellent fight, cut him up in a way that we thought he might have been stopped. That was a nasty cut, one of the worst cuts I've ever seen a guy survive. In fact, I was looking at, I'm like, do they just not stop fights on cuts anymore? So yeah, that could also happen.
It's very interesting to note that after this fight between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, the interest, well, not only, but right after Alexander Usyk was able to win against his opponent, and now Fury winning, that interest for the heavyweight division has really taken a life of its own. And now, with the prospect of a British, as you said, a Briton against another Briton, with regards to the worldwide audience, a Briton going up against another Briton, would that be as interesting as the past two heavyweight fights that we have witnessed so far?
If they look like that fight we just saw, yeah. I mean, I would watch. I don't care if the guy was from Zimbabwe against Iceland. If they're gonna play like drop each other like yo-yos, I'm gonna watch that. There's 250, 270-pound guys, going up and down like elevators. That sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah, I think that when heavyweight boxing is great, there's nothing better. And because we gotten used to being cynical because fights not delivering, and then safety first heavyweight champions like Vladimir Klitschko. But now we're seeing like all out gaudy wars at the highest level of the scale. Who wouldn't want to watch that?
Mm. Well, is that also because in the lower weight classes, of course, what we've seen very recently, more so with fighters that are now adopting the style of a Floyd Mayweather Jr. They've since been very hungry for really drawn out wars, and if only for them, during the days of Muhammad Ali and all these great heavyweights, Mike Tyson, Joe Frazier, Lennox Lewis, we have been, there has been such a void for stuff for this kind of stuff. And from what we've seen, as I've mentioned, the past two heavyweight fights that we've seen has really gotten the imagination again going, the interest going for better quality matches. And if this Fury and the Deontay Wilder fight would be the shape of things to come, well, the heavyweight division will be making more money than the other divisions as far as prize money and audience share is concerned. What do you think?
Yeah, I remember in the mid 2000s just being astonished that we'd have like heavyweight title fights that were on the undercards of like lighter weight division championships.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
how far had heavyweight championship boxing fallen? But just as like there are some people who lament the development of buddy ball in basketball. I've sort of lamented that in boxing. It's like buddy boxing. It was like, boxing became a business, and, you had guys who were kind of like, friendly outside the ring, and and then they go in there and it was just about getting paid. The best fights are not championship fights. Like, when you have a belt at stake, it's when you're fighting for the championships of yourselves, right? And like, I want to be better than this guy, and what we saw with Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder were two guys who really cared about their legacies. And they wanted to be great fighters, not just like, oh, I want to go out there and I want to make money. It's like, I want to be the best ever. And the way you do that, way you step up the ladder is you beat up the other guys who want to be the best. And so there was no quit again in between those two. And I think that's what makes, even doesn't matter what the outcomes were, win, lose, both fighters were elevated by being a part of that trilogy. And I think that when you have circumstances like that, where the best fight the best, and they set aside promotional differences, and they just make those fights, you're going to see people. It's going to be great for their legacies, but it's also going to be great for fans. And people are going to want to watch. People are going to have something to get excited about. Like how many times do we see? We know the fight. We know the champion. And then unless you like sit all day on BoxRec, you have no idea who the contender is. That's really not great for boxing because you have no expectation. It's basically like a WWE squash match. You'll see like, The Undertaker against like a guy who like, fixes your plumbing, right? And you know what's going to happen, and he's going to look great, but you're like, so what?
Right. You know, let's now go back and focus on this fight, which is slated for October 30th at the O2 Arena in London, in England. It's Whyte versus Wallin. Whyte at 33 years old, fighting a person 3 years younger than him in Wallin. Looking at these two fighters, Ryan, what are the styles? Tell our audience, well, including me, educate us about the styles of these two fighters.
Well, Otto Wallin, who trains in New York City, I got a chance to see him before he kind of was breaking out. He's from Sweden. He's a southpaw, boxer, puncher, kind of moves a little bit, has a very dangerous right hook. If you get in too close, he's 6'5". He looked kind of small when people saw him at the last time, that when they saw him in a significant fight. That's because he was fighting Tyson Fury, and Tyson Fury, makes everyone look small. But you have to remember, he's a 6'5" heavyweight, southpaw, and you don't see many of those. He wasn't as aggressive as I would have liked to have seen him once he got Fury cut. He probably could have picked it up and maybe gotten something done, maybe even stopped him. So, he's a dangerous fighter. And then we have Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte is a known, just a known commodity, more known commodity. He's been around for a while in heavyweight boxing. He had that, stunning knockout loss to Alexander Povetkin, which is, I thought, like one of the best heavyweight knockouts I've seen in a long time. So one shot, it was like a half uppercut hook, because Whyte was getting too aggressive and walked into something. But Dillian Whyte was winning that fight, and he's an aggressive fighter. He's strong, physically strong. He can make your night really long, and he can make your life pretty tough with this pressure.